Hey guys, my name is Josh Smith. I'm the president of Montana Knife Company, and today we're going to debunk some knife myths in relation to backpacking. One of the knife myths that's associated with backpacking actually comes in the word backpacking. People tend to just think because you're backpacking, you stuff everything in your backpack. But with a knife, you actually want your knife to be accessible. You actually can find when you're backpacking that you're gonna need your knife more often than you would imagine you would when you're just at home thinking about your trip. For example, opening up a meal that you're gonna eat, a dehydrated meal, cutting rope, using some rope to guy out your tent, or some little small tasks around your meals as you're cooking each day along the trail. So with that, you should keep your knife, if you can, on your backpack on the outside. And there's a couple reasons why. One, accessibility. That knife is right here. You can see if it's on your backpack when you're leaving the house or you're leaving the trailhead. When you grab your backpack, you can see that your knife is attached to it right there. Number two, self-defense, especially as with females. Having a knife right here, accessible, gives you a little bit of peace of mind. And that might be against other people, maybe it's even against stray dogs or potentially wild animals. The other thing with having your knife accessible right here is just out of straight up handiness. Being able to use it just real quick and then put it away and not have to take your whole backpack off to dig around through your gear and find the knife that is settled all the way to the bottom of your pack. So that's myth number one. Myth number two, one size fits all. I actually really recommend that you carry a couple knives, and it really depends on the kind of backpacking trip that you're going on. If you're just going for a walk, to go have a Gatorade at the top of a mountain and you're gonna only be gone for a couple hours, maybe one knife is all that you need right here on your backpack. But if it's a bigger backpacking expedition where you're gonna be staying the night, potentially over several days, I like having that speed goat or that mini speed goat attached right here to your pack strap, and then maybe a heavier duty knife like a Stonewall or a Super Cub or even a bushcraft knife in your backpack that you can pull out if you need to do some batoning through wood, setting up camp, chopping kindling, starting fires, or just preparing your tent site, chopping some brush out of the way so you can set up your tent and have a comfortable place to sleep. Myth number three, when you are purchasing a knife, sharper means quality. Well, not necessarily. And this is kind of a two-part thing. One, if a knife is super sharp out of a box, it actually does tell me that they pay attention to the quality of their work and what they're doing. I am just appalled at how many knives I see in stores when I pull them out of the case, they're just flat out dull. Like you literally have to sharpen the knife after you purchase it. But that doesn't necessarily mean because a knife is sharp that it's really high quality. You can sharpen a piece of mild steel, the worst, least heat treated steel that you can possibly imagine, to an absolute hair shaving edge. And then the minute you go to use it, your edge is chipping or it's denting, it's losing its edge really fast. So there is a lot more to knife quality than just the sharpness. The type of steel really matters, and that's where we get into another part of purchasing a knife. Doing a little bit of research into what type of steel the company is using in their knives. And this relates to your backpacking trip a bit, because if you're hiking the Oregon coast or in Kodiak, Alaska, and you know it's a super wet environment, I would not recommend that you carry one of our carbon steel knives. I would recommend that you carry one of our MagnaCut stainless steel knives. If you know it's a really wet environment or potentially you're gonna be getting some salt water on it, carry a stainless steel knife. If you're backpacking in Montana or in Colorado, where it's generally kind of arid and dry climate, then the carbon steel knife is fantastic for that type of a climate and is great for chopping and starting fires and doing all that good stuff. Another myth that we've got is that more expensive is always better. Our knives are not the cheapest knife that you're gonna find out there. We are on the higher price range of a factory produced knife. However, just because you spend $1,000 on a custom knife doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting quality. you really need to check into the knife maker, the custom knife maker, and make sure that he knows what type of steel he's using, how to heat treat it, what edge geometry is most appropriate for the kind of knife that they're building. Is it a speed goat style knife where it's super thin and it's meant for lighter cutting tasks, slicing, skinning, that kind of stuff? Or is it a heavier duty bushcraft super cub type knife that you're gonna be chopping, batoning, and using more in a fire starting situation or survival situation? So just because a knife is really expensive doesn't necessarily correlate to quality. You have to do a little bit of research on that person or on that company to make sure you're getting quality. What I will say is super cheap generally always means poor quality. If it's below a certain price point, if you're buying a knife under $100, $50, $19.99 at Walmart, you're getting straight up shit. The last myth is that a folding knife is always lighter and easier to pack. In fact, our mini Speed Goat blade and even our Speed Goat that I'm holding right here is actually lighter than a lot of the heavier pocket knives that you're gonna have, that you're gonna buy and use. And a lot of those pocket knives have thick edges, thick blades. They're not super sharp out of the box. And they're actually not the best kind of knife to use in a camping or hiking situation where a fixed blade knife is gonna give you more rigidity. This knife is gonna be sharper than almost every single knife that you're ever gonna buy at a store. You're gonna have, like with the Speed Goat here, you're gonna have paracord that you can use. So think about that. Your folding knife is gonna not necessarily be as multi-dimensional as a fixed blade knife. Our mini Speed Goat knives and our Speed Goat knives that are perfect for hiking and backpacking have 7 feet of paracord that you can use to guy your tent out, to tie stuff up onto a pack if you have zippers break or you need to pack out a heavy load. There's so many different uses. We've actually shot a video about paracord and the different uses that you can use it for. It's 550-pound test strength, so it's very strong. So those are some of the myths that you're gonna find with backpacking and with knives. And one of the biggest things is at the very least, take a knife. Any knife is better than no knife when you're in the mountains, you're backpacking, and you might find yourself in a survival situation.